I'm Ken Verderami, and welcome to another edition of the Ultimate Steel Shooter, where we talk about all things and only things Steel Challenge. All right, so today what I want to do is we're going to get back to the kind of stuff I normally like to do, is we're going to talk about techniques to help you become a better Steel Challenge shooter. So one of the things that that I consider to be one of the top 2 speed enabling skills in the sport is something a lot of you probably have heard of, but maybe are not necessarily sure whether you're doing it or not, and if you're not doing it, how to go about training yourself to become able to execute this particular skill. And the skill I'm talking about, of course, is shot calling, or just calling your shots, right? So first, let me talk about exactly what shot calling is and what it's not, because there's some confusion and misunderstanding about this particular technique. And then we'll talk about why it's so important, and then exactly how to go about training to be able to learn to do this particular skill. So, what is shot calling? Well, shot calling is very simply the ability to know where your bullet is going to hit the target at the time you shoot and break the shot, okay? It does not require any information after you break the shot to determine where your bullet went. And the reason that's important is that's when you do that, and there's several different ways that shooters typically do that, that's very slow. They're effective, they work, but they're very slow, right? So the common ways people figure out whether their bullets hit the steel plate and they can move on to the next target, there's actually only 3 ways. The first one is by visually scoring your target. What do I mean by that? That means by you fire a shot, and then you look at the target and go, yep, I see a black mark, I hit it, okay, I can now move my gun to the next target. Does it work? Sure it does. It's also very, very slow. Okay, the next way is sometimes we call this, or I like to call this, waiting for the ding. Right? You hear that all the time, particularly with newer shooters, said, you know, I didn't hear the bullet hit the plate, so I didn't think I hit it, okay? What are they doing, right? They're firing the shot, and they're not even looking at the target, they're just waiting. If they hear the metal clang, they go, oh, I must have hit the target, and now I can move on. Does that work? Most of the time works, although if you make an edge hit, you may not hear anything, and you still have a legitimate hit on the plate. But let's say you shoot in the middle of the target and you wait for the ding. You hear the ding and go, oh, I heard it, I can move on. It works, but it's even slower than visually scoring your target, right? Because sound only travels at the speed of sound. At least when you're visually scoring your target, you're using light, and so you're traveling at the speed of light, so quite a bit faster, but it's still, the method is still way too slow if you expect to be able to shoot really fast, okay? So you don't want to use either one of them. And then the last method for being able to determine if you hit a target is shot calling, okay? And that is what all elite shooters do. Every national champion, area champion, doesn't matter what championship they've won, they are calling their shots, okay? They may not talk about it, they may not have told you how they're doing it, but I promise you they're doing it. And here's the thing about shot calling. If you are interested or expect to get much past B class in this sport, you must learn how to call your shots. There's just no way around it. You will never be able to go fast enough on stages to make those times that are required for high A class, certainly master class and GM, okay? And if you've been in B class for more than, say, a year, and you've been training really hard, but you're still stuck in B class, I'm going to tell you that one of the reasons for that is you still are not knowing how to call your shots, and so you need to learn how to do that, okay? It is, like I said at the beginning, it's one of the 2 key speed enablers in the sport of Steel Challenge. You will never be able to go really fast until you learn to call your shots. So this is a skill you really want to focus on if you're not doing it right now, okay? And here in a second, we'll take you outside to my little makeshift range, and I'll demonstrate exactly how to set up the drill and go through it, and then use that over and over again to become proficient at shot calling. I will tell you this before we go outside here, is that this is a very difficult skill to learn. Probably the hardest skill you'll ever learn. Okay. However, the benefits of being able to call your shots are equally as high as the difficulty factor in learning how to do it. So it's well worth your time to do it. When I made the commitment initially, way back when, to figure out how to learn to call my shots, I literally did the drill I'm about to show you at least once during every single training session. And it took me, and I was training several times a week, right? I was live firing 3 times a week. And it still took me almost 6 months to figure out and become proficient where I was actually calling my shots and I was accurately doing it, okay? So stick with it. It is difficult, but the benefits are tremendous and well worth your effort. All right, so we're gonna go outside here real quick. I'll show you the pieces, parts you need. You don't need much to do this, and then we'll go through the motions, and then I'll come back here and I'll wrap it up and talk to you a few minutes about some overarching concepts about how to execute the drill on a regular basis so you get the most out of it. All right, guys, here we are outside and in my little makeshift range here, and I'm going to show you the basic equipment that you need to do this. Then we'll set it up and we'll go through how to make the drill work. So if we take a look here, setup's really, really simple. Basically, you need 4 target sticks here. You're going to use 2 target stands. You'll need 2 paper targets, and then you also want to have staplers, some pasters, a pen, and you can also use a binder clip, right? So if you don't have staple guns, if you're not a USPSA shooter, you don't have a lot of this kind of stuff, you can actually take this binder clip and put the targets on there. You don't really need staples. I'll show you how all that works here in a second when we set it up, but that's all you need. And of course, you don't even need official targets, right? You can get just regular little cardboard, staple it to the target stands, and that works just fine as well. You know, draw some circles on there so you got some things to focus your sights on, but other than that, it doesn't have to be really fancy to do this drill and to help yourself out. So hold on a second here, and I'm going to set it up, and then we'll talk through it again on how it all works. All right, guys, so here's the basic setup. What you're going to do is you're going to take your 2 targets. So your first target, you're going to set up like normal, okay? You're going to set it up, and you can see it here. You're going to go and set it up about 15 yards or so downrange, okay? You want to set it up far enough away so that you can't easily see the holes that your rounds are going to make in the paper, okay? And for me, 15 yards works pretty good. I mean, I can kind of still see them, but you know, put them at a distance that's not going to make it too difficult for you to make the shot, but also far enough away so that you can't easily see the holes, okay? And then with your second target, you're going to set that up just like before your regular targets, only this time what you're going to do is you're also going to include a pen, right? You see a pen right there, and you're going to have that right next to you. And so the idea here is you want to set up this second target right next to where you're going to shoot the drill, because you're going to need to turn to that target and mark it, some things on that target when you shoot, okay? So that's the basic setup, really simple. 1 target downrange, 1 target next to you with a pen so that you can mark things, all right? Now, what you're going to do, I'll talk you through it, and then I'll actually demonstrate. That's what we'll do, obviously dry fire since I can't shoot here in my backyard. But what you're going to do is basically you're going to set up here like you normally would, get in regular position downrange, and then on a timer, you're going to surrender draw. You're going to fire 2 shots at the target, and then as soon as you do that, you're going to want to turn away from the target, and closing your eyes is good as well, right? Come over to this target you see here, grab your pen, and then mark on the target where you think your 2 shots went, okay? Then at that point, you're going to go march downrange, and then you're going to go see exactly where your bullets landed in relation to where you think they did, and that feedback mechanism is going to help you determine and get better at calling your shots, okay? Now, what you're going to see is you're likely going to be quite surprised the first time you do this. You're going to fire 2 shots, and you may go, oh yeah, my sights were lined up in the center, 2 shots, and you put 2 X's in the center, right? You come over here and you mark the target, and you go, oh yeah, they're right in the center, so I put X and X. And then when you go down range, right, and you go actually see your bullet holes, you may find out that your holes are way up here or over here, and you're like, I don't understand. I'm sure that it was, I was looking at the target and I had it centered when I pulled the trigger, okay? So what's happening there, of course, is that while your sights were lined up prior to pulling the trigger, at the moment you broke the shot, something happened, you moved and the sights moved off, and that's where the bullet ended up. Remember, we can't curve bullets, so the bullets go exactly where the gun is pointed at the instant you break the shot, right? All right, here we go. So I've got my rimfire pistol here that we're going to use to dry fire this, and we'll go through the entire drill and we'll show you how this works. All right, so basically the way you're going to start again is you're going to line up, you're going to do a surrender draw here, right? And then on the timer, you're going to bring the gun up and you're going to fire 2 shots, 1, 2, and then immediately, right, turn, grab this pen here and mark where you think your 2 shots were. I'm going to say that they're right, for demonstration purposes, we'll say that they were right there, okay? And then then you just simply go downrange, okay? And you see where the bullets were in fact, okay? And so for this example, they're a little bit, they're not exactly where I thought they were, okay? So what's that telling you? So that tells me that I did not see exactly where my sights were at the moment that the trigger was pulled. Okay, something happened between the time that I thought the sights were lined up and then when I actually pulled the trigger and the gun moved off, and that's where the bullets went. Okay, so again, one more time, just so you can see the whole mechanics of the thing here. Basically, you line up per normal, surrender draw on the timer, right? You're going to draw. You're going to fire 2 shots and then immediately turn and don't look down at the target, right, downrange, and then mark where you believe those bullets actually impacted, and then simply walk downrange and go check it out and see if it is as close as you thought it was. All right, guys, so I got the 2 targets from the pretend session outside. I want to go over them exactly how this works when you're actually doing the drill, okay? So basically, like I said, you execute the drill where you fire 2 shots and then you quickly turn away from the target so you don't look at your bullet holes, and then mark on the target standing next to you where your 2 target, where you think your bullets went, and then you go down and verify where they were for real, okay? So let's say you started out, right, and this is your target next to you, and you fire your 2 shots and you say, okay, my bullets were here and here, right? Pretty much A zone center, okay? Then you go downrange, right? And you discover, well, wait a minute, look at my targets, the holes are actually here and here, okay? That is almost guaranteed what's gonna happen when you're first starting out. And what's going on there, okay, is, like I said, while you may be looking and have the sights lined up perfectly prior to breaking the shot, and you might even have them lined up perfectly after you break the shot, at the instant you broke the shot, you moved the gun, the sights obviously went off target, and the sights, when you broke this particular shot, these 2 shots, the sights were lined up here and here. That's where the bullets were. Can't be any other way, okay? And so the reason for that is you're not seeing everything that's happening at the instant you break the shot. Okay? You might be blinking, in which case you can't possibly see where the sights were at the instant you broke the shot, because at the instant you broke the shot, your eyes were literally closed. Okay? If you blink when you shoot, you need to solve that problem very quickly. It's a little bit difficult to tell by yourself. If you shoot with a friend, have them stand off to the side, wear a pair of clear shooting glasses so you can see your eyes, and just have them watch when you pull the trigger. Just point the gun down and just start pulling the trigger and watch and see if you blink or not, okay? If you're by yourself, it's a little more difficult, but what you can do is just point the gun at the burn with no particular target and try to watch the sights, right? Intently watch the sights, and then pull the trigger. When you fire a round, after you fire the shot, you need to know, did you see the cartridge eject from the gun? Yes or no? Did you see a muzzle flash? Yes or no? If you see the cartridges ejecting from the gun, if you see muzzle flash, then you're clearly not blinking and you don't have that problem, and that's a good thing. If you don't see cartridges ejecting, you don't see muzzle flash, you might be blinking, and you're going to need to work on really keeping your eyes open when you pull the trigger. Okay, so assuming you're not going to blink, what do you need to do? Well, you need to really, really pay attention, laser focus on the front sight, and try to see everything it's doing throughout focus on the sight, not the trigger pull, not the target, not anything else, and just get in the habit of focusing on that sight and trying to see every little nuance. You know, after you break the shot, what did the sights do? Try to describe in your mind, did the sight go up and down? Did it go right and down? Every little nuance it did, that'll help train you to see everything you need to see. And then you just keep doing this drill over and over again. Like I said, I did it every single session, 3 times a week for 6 months. You know, I shot maybe 10 pairs of doubles, so 20 rounds, right? 10 repetitions every single time. And I did this for week after week for 6 full months before I could finally say, okay, right, there are, I think my 2 shots are here, and then when I go down range, the 2 shots were basically there. Now, would it be nice if they were perfectly where they're supposed to be? Sure, but I would just focus on if they get anywhere near. If you said, hey, my 2 shots were, here and here, and they ended up here and here, that's pretty good, right? In the general vicinity is where you want to be. If you can train yourself to say, hey, that bullet went low right 3 inches off center, and you go up there and the bullet's low right 3 inches off center, fabulous. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you just get close to where the bullet actually went, you'll end up seeing enough that you'll be able to transition much faster. Okay, so give that a shot. Like I said, it's not the easiest drill, the skill to learn, but it is such a huge benefit. It's really worth it to spend some extra effort and try to learn how to call your shots. All right, and one last thing, if you don't need a lot of this equipment, right? I'm assuming most of you, when you go to your range, you've got target stands and sticks and all that stuff available, maybe even paper targets laying around in the trash cans you can use. But if you don't, right, you can actually make your own. Okay, these are target stands that I made myself. It's some PVC tubing, 2 elbows. It's a couple of 6-inch or 8-inch bolts. Drilled a hole, put a nut on them, and then this is 1.5-inch PVC tubing, which works with the standard sticks you find at everybody's range. And then, for a couple of bucks, you can make yourself a target stand. Like I said, use regular old cardboard. You don't need official targets. And so you can do this drill, even if you're not a USPA shooter and don't have access to all the USPSA kinds of stuff, that a lot of guys who do that, okay? So, like I said, give that a try. I think once you master this skill, you'll be amazed at how dramatically your times drop once you figure out and are starting to become proficient at calling your shots. All right, guys, do me a huge favor. Please, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It's a huge deal to help make this channel grow. One good thing is about 90% of you who watched last week's video had subscribed, so I really appreciate that. Now we just need to get more people come over from who used to listen to the podcast and join the YouTube channel. Like the button, make comments, tell me the kind of things you want me to talk about and show you, and I'll make videos about those kind of things. Please comment on the videos. I look at every single comment. I will try to answer all the comments. If you've got questions, great way to get some of your questions answered really easily. So please do that. Remember, if you are interested in my dry fire training system, right, head on over to my website, steelshootbanners.com. We have all Steel Challenge banners there. We have all USPSA training banners, USPSA classifier stages, and we also have GSSF, 3 official stages for that competition as well. Of course, don't forget my 2 books, the only 2 books on the market dedicated 100% to the sport of Steel Challenge. Do You Feel the Need for Speed, which is the technical side of the sport, and then The Game Within the Game, Mastering the Mental Game, which of course is the mental side of the sport. Those 2 combined give you everything you need to go as far as you want in this sport. So, remember, until next time, slowing down is never the right answer. Never. You need to learn to seat back.